I'm sure you'll all agree with me that if given the opportunity, we would love a situation where you never have to go to work and you still get paid for it. Money is coming in, not having to do anything. That's the good life. However, most of us don't have that luxury. So we have to get ourselves to work. We have to find the right type of motivation to A, get to work, and B, once you are there, then to stay committed and trying to do what the business has asked you to do and then some. Of course, that implies that there are two sides to it. As an employee, you can want to do it, but the business must also create an environment where the employee feels that he is being valued or she feels he is motivated to do more for the business. And a business can do that in a couple of ways. Of course, everybody likes more money. Nobody would turn it away. So, money is one way to motivate people. Another is recognition, perhaps. Just maybe an employee of the month certificate, maybe an award at the end of the year closing ceremony. So things like that. And once as an employee you get these sort of things, it makes you feel like $1,000,000. And then you just watch the employee's confidence and the productivity skyrocket. So that's what we're going to talk about. That in a business situation, what does it mean to motivate people, your employees? How can it be done? And what are some of the views on the concept of motivation? Now, you will remember from our conversations in the previous chapter or the previous videos where we discussed that a manager is in a very critical position where, of course, he or she is responsible for all the people who are working under him. And that means that the responsibility to make sure that everyone feels motivated, feels energized, and feels encouraged to work towards the common goal that that team has been provided is one of the jobs of the managers. That means making sure the whole team is motivated. So the person needs to be, of course, being a leader, being a good example helps. We've learned that. But being a leader also means that you have to have the soft side, the soft approach to your people management and making sure that everyone is getting what they expect from the business in return for their productivity, for their enterprise. So motivation in a nutshell is basically anything within a business, any role from the manager, any increase in your salary, any special working conditions that might be arranged for you, anything that allows you or that forces you rather to do more for the business to achieve the target that's been assigned. That's what you call motivation. Things that stimulate interest from the workers, that is motivation. And we, of course, we understand that labor is one of the key resources of a business. And we know that resources are quite scarce in nature. Skilled labor will be difficult to find. So if you've got skilled labor and you can't keep them motivated, then obviously they would want to leave the organization, and that's not going to be good news for the business. You can't have any wastefulness of resources. So you've got to do your utmost to make sure that your entire workforce. Okay, now I will also point out here that there is no one type of worker in any business. Meaning there will be somebody you need at the door, there's somebody manning the cash counter, somebody doing the operations bit at the back, somebody doing the management. So there are different levels, meaning different skill sets within a business that are required for employees. And different levels of workers who have different skill set have different ways of getting themselves motivated. Some may be working for more money, some may be some recognition, some working to fulfill some of their own ambitions. So different people have different requirements, different expectations from the business, which once received will lead to motivated workforce. So a business has to take a very holistic approach and make sure that everybody's motivation levels are being maintained and whatever their expectations are being met, of course, if they achieve the company objectives. So if you can continue to do that, and if you can afford a motivated workforce, then there's some clear benefits to come from that. And one, obviously, most importantly is a motivated workforce is a more productive workforce. So they want to work hard, produce better goods, quality will increase. That's always a good thing. They'll be more loyal to you. If you're taking care of your employees, why would they want to leave? If you're giving them the right bonus structures, the right salary, the right working conditions, then it will only add to the loyalty towards the business. Also, once if you're happy in the business, fewer employees leave, right? So you don't have to incur any recruitment cost, you don't have to replace anyone. So all that is good news for the business. Also, fewer people would be absent. I mean, why would you be absent? Because you don't want to go to work. That's lack of motivation. So if you have a motivated workforce, then you don't have to worry about people being absent. They'll be, in fact, eager to get to work and contribute to the business. You'll get enthusiastic and innovative ideas. People always perform well when they're motivated, think better, better problem solving. They will take responsibilities. Of course, that's something that you will specially need in a manager or anyone who's dealing directly with the consumers, that if a consumers come in with a complaint, you should take the responsibility of resolving it for them. So that also becomes instilled in the motivated workforce. And as I alluded to, better customer service can be provided by a more motivated workforce. We can see clear advantages to it. Motivation definitely needed, one of the key components of human resource management. What if you don't manage this? We understand these are benefits, but there are huge disadvantages if you fail to achieve a motivated workforce. So let's shed some light on what some of these disadvantages of having a demotivated workforce might be. So having a demotivated workforce clearly spells trouble for a business. We saw the benefits you get from a motivated workforce, and that's all the things that a business would want to see in the organization: more creativity, more enthusiasm, more productivity. But sometimes there's a disconnect between what the employees are giving in terms of their productivity and what the business is giving in return to the employees as a reward for their productivity. And somewhere in the middle, employees may not feel motivated towards their jobs. It could probably be because they're not getting paid enough. Maybe their working conditions aren't fine. Maybe there's no one to listen to, no one recognizes their achievements or their contributions. So many factors could eventually lead to a more demotivated workforce. And when you have a more demotivated workforce, there are some clear disadvantages to it. Firstly, they'll be more absent. Okay, now we discussed this in our last video that more people will be absent when they are more demotivated. So that's clearly a problem lying in wait for you there. Then there's a problem of productivity going down. Okay, when you're not motivated to work, of course, you don't produce as many units. And even if you are producing the number of units that you need to produce for the business, they may not be of the correct quality or standard. So there is a little bit of problem there developing, which may result in your sales going down. Also, they'll make more mistakes. Yeah, of course, when you're not paying attention, if you're demotivated, it could lead to more wastage for the organization. And eventually, if they continue to be like that, they don't want to be in that place, they will look for an alternative and leave the organization. Also, they may start arriving late to work. So that's also costing you productivity, wastefulness. And finally, they will take more time in responding to queries. Now, that may be coming from their manager, they may be coming from the customer. In both instances, it's a problem that the worker is taking too much time in resolving the issue. And any time that is wasted in that is going to cost the business, because you're still paying the employee, you still incur the cost, but you're not getting the output from the employee. So if the whole workforce becomes demotivated, then it's like slow poison. It starts eating the company up from the inside, and then eventually, with all these problems piling up, then the business will be in bigger trouble. So it really pays. It's really an investment in the workforce that you try everything that you can to keep them motivated, be it financially or any other way through which you can make sure that one of your most important resources, labor, is motivated to do what the business wants them to do. So to sum it up, motivation really has two sides to it. And until and unless both those sides combine, you will never have a motivated workforce. The first side of it is where the business sets expectations. This is where they give them individual targets. You will remember this from our discussion of management by objective, MBO, in chapter 4, unit 1. So giving objectives, that's the first step in that. Making sure that you define the processes, how things should be done, when should they be done, how will you be evaluated against it, and to be given very clear, precise targets that look, these A to G, these are the tasks that are assigned to you for this year, and go do the best that you can. So the first side comes from setting expectations and targets. But that's not enough. That expectation, once achieved, should lead to some sort of reward for an employee. And the reward comes later. First comes the process of appraising, what we also call appraisal, and we will learn about it in more detail in the next chapter. But appraisal means to check against a preset objective. Okay, so in this instance, the preset objective would be the targets given to employees at the start of the year. And at the end of the year, the employees will sit down with their managers and they will assess how many of the objectives of the employees were achieved. And depending on the level of objectives you've achieved, whether you've gone beyond it, just met your objectives, and maybe you fell short of your objectives, depending on that result, you will be given the reward for your work or the recognition that you deserve. So both these sides, setting expectations and rewarding, have to combine for workforce to feel more motivated. So it sort of looks like this. First, the expectations are set, then the rewards are provided. And once both those things combine, only then would you have a motivated workforce.